Wholeness. You got the notification, Nancy? Hello, hello. I see you. Hey, Miss Anna Apples. Shamanic Alchemist, what's going on? I like your name, Loving My Destiny. I like that. Wholeness, wholeness. How you guys doing today? Hello. I swear my light is on the way here. I ordered a light, a lamp. So it's going to look so much better once that thing gets here, y'all. So it makes it look so much better once I get this light. My goodness. I'm glad to hear that you guys are doing okay. Peace, peace. That's what I want to talk to you guys about. Is about how I'm doing. Okay. I got to come back and froze. Okay. It's all good, honey. It's okay. I'm fantastic. This plasmatic was cool. Well, first of all, let me just say that we are in the midst of massive solar storms at the peak of a solar maximum. All types of plasma and cosmic energy coming down on the planet right now, pouring down on everybody, which means it's going to have an effect on everyone. Okay. Thank you, baby. I appreciate you. Vaughn X9, what's going on, baby? My daughter designed these for me. She's the one who designed them. But thank you, baby. The chat was glitching for you? Is everything okay with the glitching? Y'all need to let me know if everything is okay with the glitching. As far as I know, everything looks good over here on my side. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me okay? Yeah, Mexico's had some crazy weather. But where they're having the crazy weather at, I am not in that location. Nowhere near that location of where they're having that crazy weather. And thank goodness. All right, so I'm going to share some things with you guys. I told you guys I launched my Quantum Shadow Work course. And that course is one powerful course. It's never the same. When I bring this course out, there's always something new that's added that's different about the course each time that I do it. And it's a 6-month course, right? Well, what most of my students don't know is that while they're doing their shadow work, I'm also doing my shadow work as well. So it's like I'm doing my shadow work with them. And right now we're in the father wounds. Okay. We're dealing with the father wounds. And I know that you guys know that I'm a quantum healer. So in the process of doing my healing on a quantum level, there are several different programs that I have created that is about to launch soon. One is called the Ancestral Lineage Clearing. Now, I had did this service with one of my clients, and little did I know today that I was going to, when I was in the process of coming back to the father wounds and relooking at these things, there is a process called reconciliation once you heal from a wound. Most people do not know that. Okay. You have the wound, and then you have different traumas. The traumas of the wound are the different levels that you deal with inside that one wound. So you may have 10 to 15 different traumas within that one master wound. Okay. Same thing with the mother wound. Okay. Any type of wounds that you have, the wounds exist because of the various different traumas that you've been through in your lifetime. Not just this lifetime. You also have previous lifetimes where these things were taking place. Also, I just discovered something today which blew my wig back, that I was having this pain on my left side of my abdomen for a while. And it would come and go, come and go, come and go. Getting it checked out. No one could find anything wrong with it on a physical level, because I was paranoid. So they're checking me out. We can't find anything. There's nothing there. I'm like, look, fam, it feels like someone's taking a knife and someone stabbed me in my stomach. You ain't gonna tell me nothing there. There's definitely something there. Well, come to find out, I found out today that first and foremost, let me just educate you guys and let you know that not only do you have aspects, but also your ancestors also live within your body. Let me start there. For those of you who do not know this, your ancestors live within. Some of you guys that practice African traditions should be aware of this information, knowledge. For some of you that may not be aware of it, I'm schooling y'all on some things. Your ancestors live within your body. If your ancestors have dealt with certain traumas, those traumas can play themselves out lifetime after lifetime after lifetime throughout the lineage. And then the person that the ancestor has chosen within the bloodline to bring forth the clearing and the healing to the bloodline, as well as the current family members and to yourself, it can have a great physical toll on you, whether or not you are aware of this or not. Okay. What I had found out was when I was in the process of dealing with this father wound, because some things came back up again, and I've been crying literally all day since about 5 a.m, off and on the entire day. I was crying my eyeballs out, right? And that's because I'm in my shadow work. I'm doing the same questions that I give to my students. And I'm gonna be honest with you, those questions are no joke. Sometimes I ask myself, what the hell was you thinking about when you put these questions together? But those questions are designed to help a person go deeper within their healing other than just the surface. Because you have individuals that say they do shadow work, but then when they come into my class, they realize they wasn't really doing shadow work like that. They were doing surface work. With my class, I'll go straight for those wounds to get them healed and get them reconciled. So you can, what's the word I'm going to use? Integrate once you're completely healed from that wound, right? So in the process of me doing my checks, I had already came down this path once before with this situation of family karma. Now, this is going to get deep for some of y'all because I need to explain this in such a way where you guys can understand it, where it's not going to sound crazy. But because of who we are cosmically, there are many different experiences and stories that live within our lineage, whether it be an aspect of you, right? Or whether it be your vessel and the different aspects of your family members. Okay. So imagine being in a karmic cycle, right? And when you're in this karmic cycle, you don't realize this is a major, huge karmic cycle for your life. You don't realize how deep this karmic cycle goes either. You're clueless, right? And you're having an experience where you're still dealing with some unfinished business from your past. So situations will come up that played out from your past life, that's now playing out in this lifetime because you never cleared out the past life karma. You didn't clear out the karma when you was there. You didn't clear out the karma. In other words, you didn't heal from what you went through. So then what happens is because karma's there, you continue to keep recycling your life and having the same experience in every lifetime. Well, what I found out in my particular case was that pretty much all of my aspects were affected by this particular individual, this being. And imagine finding out that the person that you had an issue with, who's basically an arch nemesis to you, is your father. Okay? He's got the aspect, right? Then you start finding out about the other family members, right? You start investigating them. And you start finding out, oh, well, this person here was working with your dad in this lifetime as this. And next thing you know, the sister, that was a such and such. of this individual. And also these individuals over here were this, and this, and they're all tied together. I'm like, oh shit. Right? So now I'm playing everything back from when I was growing up. I'm playing back these different experiences that I had, and I'm dealing with this one particular aspect, right? And as I'm dealing with this one particular aspect, I'm hearing about her story and what happened to her. And I'm tripping because I'm like, damn, did that happen to me too in this lifetime? Is that what happened to me as well? So then I'll go to the Akashic Records to investigate to get more information about the story. And sure enough, that also happened to me in this lifetime. I just don't remember it. Okay. So the memories didn't start coming back online until I decided to really start getting into investigations and finding out what happened. This is why I tell you this is quantum. Okay. This is not regular, smegular shadow work. I don't do that. And I'm not knocking anybody who does. I'm just explaining to you the levels that I'm operating on, because I need you guys to understand that because you're a multidimensional being, your healing takes place on multidimensional levels. It's not just the healing that you're dealing with in this lifetime. You got to understand that when you're healing yourself in this lifetime, you're also healing your ancestors. You're also healing your aspects. I need you guys to understand that. So when you guys hear me when you hear me talk about the quantum karmic cleanse, it's because I have the ability and the rank and the authority to clear out past life karma. And I walk the person through the process of that. But there are certain procedures that I do on a quantum level that would begin to start clearing that stuff out for them. And they start feeling it in real time as I'm clearing it out. Okay? I did not say current karma in today's lifetime. That gets cleared when you do the necessary healing and shadow work for this lifetime. That's the work that you have to do. But when it comes to past life karma, how would you know about the past life karma stories? You're going to need assistance in that. That's where I come into play. And then if you don't have the rank to do it, you're not clearing nothing from your past in that way. It doesn't work like that. It has to be on the quantum level when you're dealing with things from your past life, whether or not you know this or not, if you're going to do it the right way. It has to be on the quantum level. Okay? Now, in the process of me coming into this understanding and finding out the story, and I started really checking into family members to find out who they were. Let me tell y'all something, fam. It made so much sense to me as to why life played out for me in this lifetime the way that it did, because I was still in that same karmic cycle that had played out lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And it was such a huge cycle that I had a problem breaking myself free out of it every single lifetime because I wasn't even aware. When you're not aware of something and things happen to you, you don't know why they're happening to you. That's because it's a lot deeper than what you're being told. And because we were raised in a society to teach you things on a very basic level, and the education levels don't teach quantum in schools. They don't teach quantum in kindergarten. You know what I'm saying? They don't teach it in elementary schools. They don't teach it in the high schools. They don't teach it in the colleges. So how would you know to tap into this type of information? For me, the way I got able to tap into the information was because of my priesthood, being a priestess in the Orisha Ifa tradition, and the Orishas were the ones who brought to me the quantum. Okay? They're the ones who brought the quantum to me. Then it transitioned from them to the angels. Because they had told me, that's your family too. I said, okay, well, damn. So I started spending a lot of time with them. Then the angels started training me and schooling me on stuff. Then from there, then it was other aspects that were coming forth that was training me and schooling me on stuff. So a lot of my training didn't come from anyone that was human on this earth. A lot of my training came from within. It came from my aspects. It came from my family, my ancestors. The Rishis are my ancestors. The Loas are my ancestors. Okay? It came from them. They're a part of the bloodline too. You have cosmic ancestors. So a lot of my ancestors on various different levels started coming to me and started training me on various different levels about all kinds of stuff. Okay. Now, in the process of me coming into this understanding, and I started creating a business and all that kind of stuff over, I started helping people, et cetera, and coming into a deeper understanding. My consciousness started expanding a lot more. And I started realizing that the world that we think that we know isn't the world that we think that we know. Because you have no choice but to wake up to certain things. You don't see things the same way anymore. It's literally going to be impossible for you to see things the same way anymore once you go through certain types of experiences. So, speeding up to the healing part. So, I did those investigations probably about 4 months ago. 4 or 5 months ago, I did those investigations. Source had told me about a month or two ago that I need to come back and revisit that family wound of mine. And so I decided to go back and revisit the family wound. Because there was karma. I found out that I had karma with all of my family members because of the aspects and what they were doing and how they were playing out through the vessels. Why I couldn't get along with certain family members, because I had karma with them. I didn't know that. So I set forth to do what you call a family clearing of the karma today, right? Fam, why was I told, oh, yeah, this is a lot deeper than what you think that it is? Yeah, you're about to do an ancestral lineage clearing all the way across the board. I was like, huh? What do you mean? What? Huh? They said, this is going to be part of that. Yes, you're going to be doing that. Yeah, because all your aspects were affected and your whole lineage was affected by this thing. What? So you can imagine the look on my face, jaw dropped to the floor, couldn't believe what I was being told. Jaw on the floor, okay? So, well, I started getting more information, and I know I'm going to get more information probably through the rest this week for revelations and stuff for me to understand more information about why things went down in the bloodline the way that it did. Because what you start realizing is that the curses that exist is this type of stuff. I found out that my ancestors were suffering from those same traumas. And they were located, okay, some of them were located in the left side of my abdomen. And there was a hole there in one of my bodies. Because you know you got 5 different bodies, right? Okay, you got 5. There was a big hole that was there. So that's what I was feeling the entire time. I didn't even know it. So when I went in to go clear that, it sealed that off. It healed those ancestors. When I tell you them ancestors were standing in line, waiting for their stuff to get cleared out. One ancestor after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. And then I'm looking at my higher self, right? Now, this is really what tripped me out. I'm looking at my higher self, right? Bruh, she expands. So she went from the size I'm used to seeing her in to big. I'm just like, okay, ma'am, what's going on? Why do you look like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you so big? Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, right? When you heal yourself, you're also healing me, right? Yeah, so that helped me out and I just expanded and you did too. So yeah, this is that. I'm like, whoa. So I blew my wig back. I started realizing how there are certain traumas and wounds that we go through when it comes to the mother and father wounds that tie in to other different experiences that you may have had in different lifetimes. So as I'm clearing this out, I'm clearing out this stuff from all the way back to the cosmos. So that means any aspect of mine or ancestor from the bloodline that's alive today that goes all the way back, all of them got cleared. All of them. Their traumas got healed. Their traumas were reconciled. These ancestral curses that were in the bloodline cleared. The karma that was in the bloodline from just that one situation cleared. Now, of course, when you go through a process like that, you're going to jump dimensions. And I did jump quite a few. You see, every single time that you come in and you clear out your past life karma, it's you getting rid of the dense energy. So it's a combination of shadow work and then clearing out the past life karma. But when you get the stories about your situation, it really blows your wig back. But it starts making sense as to why you have certain people in your life. It starts making sense as to why you had issues with your mama, issues with your daddy at a very young age, issues with siblings, issues with people that you don't even know that just had an issue with you. You could have been in a relationship with someone and come to find out that same situation took place the last lifetime. Time is never linear. That was the biggest joke of all. Now, I'm going to give an example. You know that guy, that singer that goes by the name of D4D something. This guy that was big on TikTok. And you know that he's been brought up on, well, he hasn't been brought up on charges of anything, but he is a person of interest in terms of who the police are looking at as far as who murdered that girl was supposed to be his girlfriend. But that case got a lot of twists and turns and whatnot. There's a lot of twists and turns. And if I was to touch on that and tell y'all how deep that rabbit hole goes, your wig would be blown all the way out here somewhere. Okay? But I'm not going to really touch on that. Other than the part I am going to touch on is that he had karma with that girl. And she died in the previous lifetime because of him. So that was a karmic cycle playing itself back out all over again. This is why it is imperative that when you're on your path to your healing, that you take the time out and really start going deeper than what you have been going. You can't be surface level because there are wounds that are beyond your lifetime of existence, meaning the lifetime you're currently living right now. There are wounds that you're still carrying around. So on the quantum level, it gives me the ability to go in and clear all that stuff out all the way back that far. That's quantum. To quantify one's healing. That's why in my class, when people take my course for them 6 months, they're not the same person in 6 months. And then it continues. It doesn't stop. It continues. And that person continues to grow and continues to expand. And then their aspects start coming and talking to them. And then that's it for them. They in the win after that. Okay? Well, I got into mental greed. It's a little bit deeper than that because he was manipulated and didn't even realize he was being manipulated or taken over. Okay? He didn't realize it. And that's another thing too. Y'all better be careful with them damn video games out here because they're using the video games to take control of y'all's minds. And I'm going to let you know the different types of beings that they're working with are grays. And grays are notorious for doing this type of stuff to individuals as far as infiltrating the mind and taking over the mind. Okay? They are notorious for that. So when you see these gamers on here, you see people, I want y'all to reflect back on this. There are people that you know that play games, right? I want you to reflect back to how they were before they started playing and then reflect back to how they are after they started really getting into the groove of it. And tell me if you notice a difference in their personality. If you notice a switch or a difference in their personality, it's because they've already been taken over. Their mind has already been infiltrated and they don't even know that their mind has been infiltrated. They don't even know. The grays are the ones who created the suicide programming. So when you hear people saying, you know, I want to take my life, when a person comes to me and tells me that, the first thing I'm checking for is to see if there are any grays involved, if there's any grays in the house, if they have any gray aspects. If the family has any gray aspects, that's the first thing I'm checking for. Because 9 times out of 10, that's usually what's going on when a person is being afflicted with suicide. These are all programs. Depression is a program. Suicide is a program. There's a lot of different programs out here. And some of these programs are also installed in the human vessel. Okay? They're installed inside the human vessel and have to be quantumly removed. That's where I do biogenesis. This is what I do. Neurogenesis, which is another program that I do, is when I uninstall programs within the mind. Because some programs are deeply embedded within the individual, tied to their subconscious. And let me tell y'all something. 95% of your body is controlled by the subconscious mind. The difference is you're not aware of it. So things will play themselves out. And you will be doing things and not know why you're doing the things that you're doing. And if you're operating in an unhealed state, your wounds will choose for you who your partners are going to be, your wounds. And it happens on a subconscious level. You don't even realize that's what you're doing. You don't realize that the reason why you chose this person to be in a relationship with is because really what you're doing is you're trauma bonding with that individual, but you don't see it as trauma bonding. You're seeing it as, okay, I got this connection with this person. We have a lot in common because we went through this, and this. But you got to be careful when you start seeing yourselves go through the same traumas. If you guys have experienced the same traumas, things like that, that is a sign of a trauma bond forming. You don't want to be in a relationship with someone that you're trauma bonding with. Okay? That's what you don't want to do because they never work out. You want to be careful about your associations and the people that you speak to. Because those associations and the people that you speak to could be trauma bonding. And you're not even realizing on a subconscious level that's what that is. Like I said, 95% of the body is controlled by the subconscious mind. The key thing here is, how do I become aware of these things? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to become present. If you operate in a state where you are not present, you will never catch on to any of this. And you will just continue to move through life on autopilot, not knowing anything that you have going on, not realizing how you're acting. Because, I always tell people never really see themselves. People never really see themselves. They don't. They don't see themselves. They don't see how they come off to others. They don't see what's going on. They don't see it. And because you're not aware of how the trauma is choosing certain things, causing you to act a certain way, causing you to project a certain way. And the projection doesn't necessarily have to be loud. Sometimes projections are subtle. Manipulation. That's one way. Okay? Doing certain things or acting out in certain ways because you're trying to protect your heart space from being hurt. So you think that you got to control a situation. So you do certain things, or you do things a certain kind of way that may be harmful to the other person, because you're too worried about you being harmed yourself. So you feel like you need to amass a certain amount of control over that individual or the situation. But you're doing this strictly on a subconscious level. You don't even realize that you're not fully aware in your fullness that this is the reason why you're doing what you're doing. Okay? You may be aware that you're trying to control certain things, but you either may not be totally 100% aware, or you're not totally 100% honest as to why you're acting the way that you're acting. And 9 times out of 10, it just has a lot to do with the fact that the person is operating within their trauma. And instead of healing the wound, they project that wound onto others around them, thinking that the same person that offended them from back in the day is this new person that's in your face in the present. And that doesn't even make any sense. This is why I always tell people, Learn how to allow things to play themselves out, because you have to remember, when you're dealing with somebody new, you're dealing with new energy. You're dealing with a new person. You're not even the same person no more. You are not the same person no more. So sometimes people can do things. They may give that where you may give them the side eye at first, right? You might be getting the side eye at first because your defense mechanisms kick in, right? So you give them the side eye thinking that they're going to do the exact same thing the person did before. But if you let things play out 9 times out of 10, more often than not, that person is not going to do what you thought they were going to do. But here's what happens. If you allow your wound to take you over, then you do what we call a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's when a person reacts off of wound trauma based upon what appears to be something getting ready to play itself out again that they're bringing from their past to their present. And then they start acting out. And as they start acting out, they cause a chain of events to happen with that individual where they get the same outcome and they didn't even realize that's what the hell they were doing. Now, in very rare cases, when you come across somebody new, you can come across somebody new and they do the exact same thing to you that you experienced before. But usually when that happens, it's because there's a lesson that you have not learned from. Same game, same lesson, different player. You didn't learn the lesson the first time. So Source is going to bring the simulation back around to you again and see if you're going to learn from it the second time. That's how this goes. You are supposed to be learning from every experience that you have, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, whether it's a neutral experience. You're supposed to be learning every single time you have an experience. Self-sabotage, that is correct. As I was clearing out that karmic cycle today and doing that ancestral lineage clearing, they were telling me the benefits that I get from that, right? One being release of more dense energy, how I operate with my clairs, all those different things, or unlocking a new level within self of gifts that I didn't even know I had, and now those gifts have been unlocked within me. Different things can come about when you are doing this type of clearing work, okay? All kinds of things can come about because you're getting rid of the density. When you have density that sits within the body, that can block your gifts. It can block your hearing. It can block your pineal gland. A lot of people say, well, what about if I decalcify it? That's one thing. But at the same time, if you have too much dense energy, especially in the heart space, which is where all your gifts sit at, you're not going to be able to connect to get access to your clairs. Okay? You're not. You have to heal. Source intentionally placed our gifts in the heart space so we didn't have a repeat of all the things that happened in the past in the cosmos. Okay? A lot of your workers that are out here today are working towards getting to the future. But as I told you guys once before in the previous live, a lot of us had to come back to the past to make correction for things that were done in the past. When you get into your role that Source has given you because you were in your fallen state, you work to get yourself out of the fallen state that you were in. You don't think you was in a fallen state? Well, explain to me how you ended up on this planet. Because to land on this planet means you had to be in your fallen state. Had to be. If there's 999 dimensions and you sitting in the third and the fourth dimension, and you're in a third, fourth dimensional planet, and the Earth only goes up to 33 dimensions. Now, she's going to expand that now because she has been moved to a different location within the galaxy now. She's about to expand the size of a whole entire solar system. That now will allow you to continue to go up in dimensions past the 33rd. If you're on the other side of the ice wall, you're automatically going up past the 33rd. And let me tell you something else. The human body does have the capacity to go that high and higher. We were told a lot of things that were not true. But if you start to critically think and ask yourself, when people were living to be thousands of years old, how were they able to do that? And what were the people doing when they were on the earth at that time when they were living to be that long? We're already returning back to that now. Y'all think 50's old? Y'all think 50's old? So you were programmed because of the fallen Anunnaki to teach you that that is old, because there are programs installed within your system that caps you off at 75. Your body starts breaking down. You start going through all these different things. Next thing you know, your body's not working, all that. That's because the programs that are installed within you that you did not know was installed within your body. This is where I do biogenesis, to uninstall the programs so you can live longer. Also, it's going to require you to heal for you to live long. Listen, you guys are going to keep seeing me and keep seeing me and keep seeing me. And I've heard people say, Isis, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm healing, baby. Healing takes years off your life. Okay? Healing takes years off of your life. So every time that you do work to clear out the dense energy within your vessel, you literally start aging backwards. So it's going to require you to heal. And then Gaia, as I already told you, the earth has already elevated to the 33rd, which is why she moved to the position that she's in now, which is her original position when it all first started. So a lot of us, if we continue on the healing journey, are going to find out information to get us out of the capped off state, because the capped off is a state. They told us something different. Oh, they messed with the DNA. They did this. They did that. Well, let me tell you what they did, baby. They installed programs inside your body. That's what they did. And never thought you would ever find out about that, because nobody was operating on that level to understand it. I told you guys before, I am a quantum doctor. And I got hella programs to release out to the public to help the public out. But everything that I do is centered around healing the collective and also healing myself. So I teach you these things based upon personalized experiences that I've personally went through, and then other people that I've assisted to help them get to the next level, to help them get on their own path, because everybody has their own individual path. When you store energy within the body, trauma within the body, and you're not moving that energy outside of the body, it creates what you call dis-ease. You guys call it disease, but it's dis-ease. So you have to get rid of that dense energy without the outside of the body. And then when you get rid of the dense energy, guess what? You start elevating in timelines. And the more you release, the more you elevate. Now, when you get to a certain level of elevation, this is when Source comes to you and reveals to you about your role that you have added, that she has already given you from before. You just don't remember. So I also help people in their remembrances to help them remember who they are. But you have to want to do the healing, guys. And listen, this is not easy work. I cried the entire, listen, I think I started my crying from 5 o'clock on this morning. And I think that I finally didn't end until after I cleared that out. Because what they told me was you're not only crying for yourself and the traumas that you dealt from your father wound, but you also cried for the ancestors who also was under them same traumas. So I was getting rid of all that dense energy and I was crying for them. I was crying for my aspects. I was crying for me. And it was some deep, deep crying that I was doing today. Deep, heart-centered crying that I was doing today. And I felt so much. The truth of the matter is, you are a mystery unto yourself. You are a mystery unto yourself. There's so much about yourself that you do not know. There's so many things that you have yet to discover about yourself. And it's a beautiful journey if you really decide to get on it and really decide to take it seriously. It's a beautiful journey. Once I got on the path of self-discovery on a quantum level, that was it for me. Listen, I had the time of my life and I have some of the best experiences ever. The experiences that I have, me and my team, we be talking about this stuff. I said, they're not going to believe none of this stuff if we told. They're not going to believe nothing I got to say. If I say some of this stuff, it's going to sound so far-fetched, they're not going to believe none of it. But then at the same time, these same folks who ain't going to believe none of it call themselves gods and goddesses. But don't believe but place limitations upon themselves. They'll put a limitation upon you because they place a limitation upon themselves. They project upon you because they can't do it. Grieve first, then heal. And grieving is also a part of healing, whether or not you realize this, loving my destiny. I can speak to it because I cry all the time over my mom and my brother's passing. That's a hole that I don't think will ever be sealed up. That is a pain I don't wish that on nobody to go through. And then how they went. Because I had enemies out here in this community with me trying to teach. And those enemies went after my family. Spiritually. There's a lot that comes with this. A lot of front lines, stuff on the front lines, a lot of battles. And you have people out here that are so disrespectful because they didn't go through the things that you went through. They want to come and they just want to take your own personalized experiences and try to regurgitate it as their own. Not understanding that this is my story that I'm telling. I am teaching. Until people go through their own journeys of those ups and downs and that warfare, because that's a different level of spiritual warfare. When you have people come, your own people that look like you, that are so jealous within their heart space. that they go out of their way because they're so miserable and so hurt, and they're living out their traumas and causing harm to others because they're hurting. That's all that is. I know what that is. Nobody's going to love them. No one's going to be real with them. No one's even going to care enough about them in that way. So these people gravitate together around themselves because they're very unhappy. And then they see you doing well when they thought you were supposed to fall, and you didn't, and you kept elevating. So they get angry and they project because they're not healing. They make you the target for their pain and their hurt that they suffer from when you don't have nothing to do with that. I see that for what that is too. I think at this stage of my life now, reflecting back on just recent experiences that I had recognizing the great lengths that people will go through, I still keep it pushing. Because the rewards in this is not something that you can put a monetary value on. And then there is a point that there does come to a point where you're not touchable no more by those individuals when you're operating on a certain level. I'm on a mission. I came here to clear out some things, grab my kids, and get the hell on. That's what I came here to do. Period. Point blank. And there's a few that fell behind, and that's okay too. They got their own paths and their own journeys that they got to learn from. I'll catch them on the flip side. You know, it's funny. Rod Watson, you made a good, valid point. He said, people are really jealous for nothing. Then soon as source tests them to try your shoes on, then they'll back down, go backwards and become dark instead of facing their jealous mirror. Yeah. Instead of facing the mirror of themselves to figure out why they're doing what they're doing. Then again, you also have individuals that are not what you think they are. You have individuals that look like a human, but their main aspect is an actual demon. And you would never know that. You see, demons could come in all shapes, sizes, and forms. Nefarious beings can come all different types of ways. Trust me, they come through my business all the time. I would literally tell them, oh, yeah, you're Bow. What? Yeah, fam. So why are you here? Who sent you? He sent you? Let me tap in right quick. Nigga, what do you want? It gets that real. The vessels themselves don't even know that they're being controlled by their higher selves. That's how deep this shit gets. That's why you can't just run around here bringing all types of people into your circles and stuff. Can't be doing that. Because you don't realize that you may have a family enemy that's been hunting you down lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And finally that person finds you. And next thing you know, they're in your camp. And next thing you know, you got a whole problem on your hands. That shit is real. That really happens. I can't tell you how many times folks have come to me to try to infiltrate this family. That's how I lost my first half of the family the first time. I told myself I won't go to do it again the second time, and will not, and has not. Will not. So I want you guys to understand things are happening on various different levels, whether or not you are aware of this or not. Things are happening on various different levels. These things that I'm teaching y'all, I am considered to be an enemy to those beings out there. They don't want me teaching y'all this information. They don't want me putting this stuff out there. That's problematic for them, to the opposition. They don't like it, especially an original? Shh. No. No. They hate originals. Their goal is to keep us down underneath of them as much as possible, and we are to keep our mouths shut, do what we're told, don't teach nothing, don't tap in, don't tell the collective how to do this, that, and the third, don't do no activations, don't tell them nothing, don't do none of that. You know what's even crazier about this? What I realized too, we got to stop telling people, we got to stop claiming individuals that just because they have brown skin as our people, because they not. There are some people in your circle that look like you, they ain't got no business being in your space. You think they haven't figured out how to infiltrate? You think that Caucasians is your only threat? You think that a person that has white skin is your only threat? That's ignorant. Because let me tell you something else that's going to blow your wigs on out the water. It's going to blow your wigs back. There are white folks that I know right now, people that look white, that are also originals. When they come to me and they get a cosmic reading, and I see who they are, I remember the first time that happened to me, I literally had to, listen, when I tell you I was tripping, I had to call down source and carrying on. I was like, okay, hold up, fam. We got to talk. Because I'm not understanding any of this right now. What the hell going on right now? These are them white folks that you can tell that have a certain genuineness to them. Okay? And they chose that vessel when they came into this realm for other assignments that they needed to get into certain sectors that we as brown-skinned people could not get into. But they also had their assignments as well, being in that skin tone. Now that original inside that particular vessel, inside that suit, inside that sleeve, is just as dark as you and I are. So I want you to understand, when you start talking about things on a galactic level, then you got to start thinking with the galactic mind. You got to evolve past the color stuff. You have to evolve past that and out of that if you plan on being in the galactic realm, because if you don't, you will get easily infiltrated and easily taken up out of here, falling for them damn games. If you operating on higher levels, if you're trying to get into the cosmos, if you're trying to call yourself galactic, you first got to have a much more broader understanding about how this works. It would be foolish for you to sit up here and think that every white person you run into is the devil. When you're operating on the levels that I'm operating on, I've already seen it. So I can speak to it. When they come to me and they ask me, who am I? I tell them, this is who you are. Their mouths drop to the damn floor like, what? I said, yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? But Source broke it down to me already about that. So I had to get past my own biases and prejudices and stuff in my own mind. I had to get past that. You'll know a devil when you see one based upon their characteristics and their traits and how they act. That's how you'll know. And you got black devils out here too. They're more dangerous. The black devil is way more dangerous to this conscious community. Way more dangerous. Because the black devils will get up here and do these lives, teach you things, could be super educated about a lot of different things, but they a whole nefarious being. While you thinking you cool with them, this same individual is doing baneful magic on your family and you don't even know that's what's happening. Meanwhile, they smile in your face, being cool and all types of stuff, but they're tapped in such a way that you don't know they're tapped in. They're tapping into their higher self, which is nefarious as hell. And then the nefarious being is giving them instructions about how to mess your whole life up and your family's life up. And you don't know that this is what's happening because you're thinking that the person that you listen to is cool as hell. Little do you know. And these people work for these agencies and work for the divisions to infiltrate originals that are tapped in. You can purchase a consultation on IsisWisdom.com. Yeah, y'all can't be walking around out here, especially in today's time. Y'all can't be walking around out here in lower vibrational frequencies talking about the stuff that we used to talk about when we was in the age of Pisces. You should have evolved out of that by now. You should have evolved out of it by now. If you're still talking about stuff that was taking place back in the age of Pisces, you have not grown as much as you think that you have. If you're still allowing the color of someone's skin to dictate how things go in your life, you have not evolved as much as you think that you have. And some of y'all would say, oh, ISIS just pandering to them white folks. ISIS doing that. No, ISIS is schooling you things to give you an understanding about how the quantum and how the cosmos and how the galactic works. That's what ISIS is doing, because ISIS understands, as I said before, that we're multidimensional beings. There is no limitations. Things aren't linear. Either way you look at it, Source's creations is Source's creations, whether you like it or you don't. You just have to discern the energy of the people that you're dealing with. You can't just run around out here and say, oh, this person is. First of all, racism in itself is a program, a construct, but more importantly, a program that was implemented by the fallen Anunnaki. And she goes by the name of Nzinga. And let me put y'all up on game about Nzinga. First of all, she is not the mother of Yehuda. Stop saying that. I heard some of y'all out there, somebody putting that bullshit out there. That's untrue. Nzinga infiltrated those individuals and told them the wrong information on purpose to have them out here looking crazy. That's why discernment is key when you are doing this type of work. You have to discern who it is that you're talking to. But that is the Anunnaki, the great divider, the one that had so much self-hatred within herself, and did all the massive spell casting and all that with the Draconians and the Greys and all the other fallen angels and all the other fallen Anunnaki. To take things to the level that it's gotten to on this planet. I also need you guys to understand something. This planet is also ran by contracts. Beings can put you in a contract against your will, whether or not you realize this or not, and perform against you. And you don't even know that's what's going on. When you see a lot of things that you see in place with these Caucasians in positions of power around the world, the ones who are parasitic, those are Greys. Now, how did they get in those positions? Because Nzinga was the one who wrote the contracts up. Lucifer and Satan were the muscle. I want you guys to understand something. I am talking about wars older than your imagination. But I need you to understand how we got there. There are situations in your life, originals, and I want you to listen to me carefully. I want you to listen to me very, 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 very carefully, because this is going to blow your damn wig off. I touched on this once before, but I didn't go into too much detail, so I'm going to touch on it again. Depending on who you are as an original, your parents could be your handlers and you not know it. A lot of the parents that I've seen are working for the NSA and or the CIA or the FBI. And because they know about the aspects, they'll say, okay, well, I'm a school teacher, I'm working here, or I'm a nurse, I'm working at this facility here as a nurse, or I'm working for a Verizon, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. And little do you know that this person is your handler. That's how deep that shit gets. They already got the tracking devices on you, fam. They already got the transmitters, and they already got the tape recorders. All that's quantum. They already got the stuff placed on you already, all throughout your room. You don't even know what's going on, to monitor you to see when you're going to wake up. And sometimes some of you will try to prevail to get ahead. And for some reason, every time you tell that parent that you're making a move to move out your house, or you're making a move to succeed, something always happens. Something slows down. Something derails what you were trying to do. I need you guys to think about that. How many times have you told your family members? How many times have you told your family members certain moves that you were about to make, and all of a sudden that shit got derailed or it got slowed down? I want you to think about that for a minute. I want you to sit with it, and I want you to think about that for a minute. You better take a look at them family members of yours a little bit closely, a little bit more closer than what you have been. Because I promise you, as you start doing your investigations, you're going to start finding out some things, and it's going to trip your ass out. And then then the question will come into play, well, who am I? Because I already know who you are. That's the gag. Cosmic reading on IsisWisdom.com. If you want to get that reading, it's cosmic reading. Some of y'all's parents are not who you think they are. That's all I'm going to say to y'all. And then when you dig deeper and you find out who you are, and then you go and you do the research of the parents of who you are. Right? So let me give an example. Cain the Conqueror. Right? You want to know you want to know one of the vessels of Cain the Conqueror? Who one of his Source Spark vessels? The same dude that played that shit in Marvel. What the hell is his name? Jonathan Majors. That's Cain the Conqueror in real life. You think Hollywood didn't know that when they put him in that position to play that role? Let me tell y'all something. Hollywood knows everything about you before they choose you to be in a role. And the role that you're playing that role because that's who the hell you are. Boom! If I was to sit down and drop the science on just the people that you know in this conscious community, and I could tell you who every single last one of them are that are speakers out there. I ain't gonna do that. But I'm just saying, I could do that and break their whole shit down. I could tell you who they were in a past life and how the things that happened to them in their past life could play out again in this life if they're not careful about their movements and who their associations and who their affiliations are. There's one prominent brother. There's one prominent brother I'm going to share some information with you on. One prominent brother that was very well known back in the 1960s before he died prematurely. Y'all give a lot of reverence to this brother because he was the one who didn't take no shit from nobody. So y'all should already know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say his name now. He was a part of an organization This brother was very well talented and very well tapped in, unbeknownst to most of you. Side Shaolin, boom. And the process of that, his wife, she was a fallen Anunnaki and helped set up his death, unbeknownst to y'all. Now, let me go ahead and bring you up to speed now. There is somebody that I know right now that is known within this community, but I'm not going to say their name. That they're in that same karmic cycle with that same individual that they're in a relationship right now, because they do not know that they were also that person in the previous lifetime, and that the person that's in their life right now is also that same person who was his wife, plotting on his ass right now in this lifetime. And that's because they truly knew who he was. They knew who he was. And they eliminated him because he was a threat. And the person that eliminated him was his enemy from previous lifetimes. It was a karmic cycle playing out all over again. Now he's come back in this lifetime and he hooked up with the same damn woman right now. And let me tell you something, Hill WO68, that's a whole different conversation for a different day on that. Because I could drop the whole science on that whole shit right there and have all y'all sitting up here looking stupid. But there was a reason why I fell all the way back off of that. I had to. Because there was a whole lot more play on that situation that I could not get myself involved in. That's a whole lot deeper than what you guys realize. I know who put him in that space. I know what happened to young Pharaoh. I know who put him in his position and did the things they did to him. I know who's behind that. I need you guys to understand. Just like I know what happened to Bobby Hemmett and who played behind that. I need you guys to understand aspects are at play here. Aspects are at play here. Heal. Someone says, how do we raise consciousness and be beyond this? Tycoon, heal. I know you want to talk. It's just like Cartier Vision said, this is an aspect-driven realm. Boom! Give me a second. It's an aspect-driven realm. You need quantum shadow. You need to take my quantum shadow work course if you get approved for it, because Source is approving people for that course. It's not that simple to get inside this course, because that course is so profound, and the effects that it has on individuals and how it changes their life forever to get on path in such a different way. You have to be approved by Source. So make sure you're doing the real healing first, because if you're not, you will not get approved. Source is not going to play with you about that. We're not looking for people that's in here playing around. We're looking for the serious student that's looking to get on their path and do what they got to do and get in their role. We're not looking for the bullshitters, the people that are not really wanting to put in that real work. Now, I got a beginner's quantum shadow work course that I'm going to be launching, and it's self-taught, so you can go and take that course on IsisWisdom.com. Okay, but the quantum shadow work course, which is one that I'm there with every week, that one requires approval. The beginner's quantum shadow work course, anybody can join that course to heal and learn. They're going to have to do the work, though. And I meet with those students once a month. Okay? All right. Become a member of IsisWisdom.com. So you can look for when I send out the blast letting you know that the beginner's quantum shadow work course is available. And you can go ahead and get yourself signed up. Anybody can join that course. There's no cap either for that. Anybody can go and join the course and just do the necessary assignments and work. So I just wanted to share that information. I feel like this was a very informative live. And for those of you who are actually looking to get into deeper healing, if you're looking to expand, if you're looking to find out about your role, I do have a program. Quantum Karmic Cleanse program is that one. Okay? That's that one. Then when you graduate from there, you go to the Quantum Trauma Cleanse. That was the one that I kept for two years for myself that I didn't want to share with anybody. I didn't want to share that program with nobody. Because that course was so intense, I'm like, ain't nobody gonna take this course. It ain't gonna last 5 minutes in this damn course. I'm still in that program. I'm still in the program. But if you guys are looking to heal and get yourselves to another level and expanding your consciousness, log on to my website, IsisWisdom.com. Okay? Log on to my website, IsisWisdom.com. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am done here. I thank you very much for being a part of my live. I hope you enjoyed this live. I really do hope you enjoyed the live, because I definitely enjoyed sharing it with you. And on that note, YouTube, I will be uploading this video to y'all this week. Peace.